A CPR call are unique, and we are trying to develop skills that more quickly identify when CPR is needed. Data has shown that for every 1 minute delay in initiating CPR, there is a 10% decrease in surviving that medical episode. So we want to more quickly identify when CPR is needed and hands on chest more quickly. And that's the whole purpose of RQIT, or Resuscitation Quality Improvement. And there are two aspects to it: RQI 2020, which involves on-hand CPR, and RQIT, which is 911 specialists processing CPR type calls. Dispatchers are often hesitant to initiate CPR instructions because the caller's not sure of the condition of the patient. So when we make our dispatchers, our 911 specialists feel more comfortable with initiating CPR, we can more effectively treat our patients. So currently, every quarter, our 911 specialists have got to do a simulation. They will do a simulation with someone from the RQI Incorporated who is helping us with this. In addition to that, real live calls are critiqued by RQI, and the reports are sent to me, and I forward them to the shift supervisor, who has the conversation with the dispatcher saying, this is what you did great. This is what you might want to concentrate on in the future. So we are able to police ourselves and better providing instruction to our callers.
So RQI 2020 is how we're recertifying our CPR skills here in Charles County. So we train every 3 months as opposed to every 2 years. Help us with muscle memory and make sure we're doing CPR correctly. Studies have shown that when we train every 2 years, after about 4 months, we've lost a good percentage of our muscle memory already. And then doing it in 2 more years, we've lost pretty much everything we learned. So by doing it every 3 months, we can keep it fresh in our minds. So the training is on the computer. We have our own website through the RQI partners. We are the second state in the United States to actually pilot this program, so it's a really big deal for us here in Maryland. So they sign on to the website, everything is done right there. They have an online portion where they play like a little simulated game. And then they come to we have 3 locations where we have mannequins. They come in there and actually do the CPR skills. It'll tell you if you're not pushing hard enough, if you're not giving enough air, if your hands are not in the middle of the chest. They're very intuitive. So the real-time feedback, instead of us doing class every 2 years, you hear it once in 2 years, whether or not you're pushing correctly. Now you get it every time you come in, and the mannequin, I can leave the room and the mannequin can do it itself. So benefits on the street actually starts with the 911 phone call. That's the most important phone call citizens can make, because that starts the clock ticking. Our telecommunicators are trained to give CPR instructions over the phone, which then means CPR can be started by lay people. So we like to educate our citizens as well. Once we get there, we can start the CPR, and it's like second nature to us. For every 1 minute that you're waiting for us to respond, if nothing is done to the patient, they lose survivability by 10%. So if it takes us 8 minutes to get there and nothing has been done, they have a 20% chance of surviving. So we want the citizens of Charles County to call, check the victim, and compress if needed, because it takes a system to save a victim.
Katherine Johnson was born August 26, 1918. In 1962, as NASA prepared for the orbital mission of John Glenn, the astronauts were wary of putting their lives in the care of the electronic calculating machines, which were prone to hiccups and blackouts. As a part of the pre-flight checklist, Glenn asked engineers to get the girl Johnson to run the same numbers but by hand on her desktop mechanical calculating machine. If she says they're good, Katherine Johnson remembers the astronaut saying, then I'm ready to go. Glenn's flight was a success. She retired in 1986 after 33 years at Langley. I love going to work every single day, she said. In 2015, at age 97, Johnson added another extraordinary achievement to her long list. President Barack Obama awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. She died on February 24, 2020. The NASA administrator said, "Our NASA family is sad to learn the news that Katherine Johnson passed away this morning at 101 years old. She was an American hero, and her pioneering legacy will never be forgotten."
Hi, I'm Austin Flowers with the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Tourism. Did you know that the latest edition of the guide is out? The guide is a listing of all the programs and activities we offer to the community. Check out a few highlights from the latest edition of the guide.
Join our mermaids for a splashing good time at Mermaids at the Pool. Enjoy an afternoon of swimming, fun water activities, photo ops, and a synchronized swimming routine. Don't forget to bring your mermaid fins. Register today at www.charlescountyparks.com.
Grab your rod and get ready to reel at the semi-annual Fishin' Buddies Derby at Gilbert Run Park. Teams of one child and one adult can compete for largest and most bluegill, crappie, and bass with a special award for trout and catfish. Register today at charlescountyparks.com. See you bright and early at the Fishin' Buddies Derby.
And to find out more, visit our website at www.charlescountyparks.com.
Rabies is a viral infection that attacks the cerebral spinal fluid and the brain of an animal or a human. Rabies, when symptoms begins, almost is always fatal. So it's very important to get treatment. In the United States, rabies is mostly spread by wild animals such as raccoons, skunks, foxes, and bats. Though it's rare in the United States, domestic animals can spread rabies. Rabies is transmitted in either bite wounds or through indirect contact with either scratches or with mucous membranes of the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. This contact, like I said, can be indirect or it can be direct, so it's not just from bite exposures where we need to be concerned. The symptoms of rabies normally start out with lethargy and fever and nausea, vomiting in animals. This progresses to an unsteady gait. It can cause seizures, it can cause foaming at the mouth, which is related to excessive salivation and a difficulty in swallowing. Also, difficulty in breathing is very common in animals. It's important to realize, though, that though it's commonly regarded that animals who are rabid foam at the mouth, not all rabid animals do foam at the mouth, and not all animals that foam at the mouth actually are rabid. So certain diseases like distemper can also cause that presentation. Though rabies is a fatal disease, rabies is preventable. It's important to get prompt treatment if you are bitten or if your animal is bitten. So if you're bitten or an animal is bitten, you want to make sure that you thoroughly wash the wound. And also you want to seek out medical attention to determine whether or not you need post-exposure prophylaxis. Now, it's commonly thought of that post-exposure prophylaxis requires shots in the abdomen. There's been a lot of progress in this area over the past 10 years, and that's no longer required. What will actually happen is you'll be given a series of shots around the wound sites. These are very small shots. It's called RIG. It prevents the infection from moving. And then you'll be given 4 shots over 14 days, which resemble the kind of shot you would get for a flu shot. If your domestic animal is exposed to a bite or exposed to wildlife in an unknown capacity, it's important that this is reported to animal control and to the local health department. It's also important that you seek veterinary care for your animal. The health department regularly receives reports of bad exposures or possible bad exposures. Because bats have such small teeth, it's impossible sometimes to tell if you've been bitten. If you were asleep at the time, or if the bat was found in a room with a small child or with an animal, treatment will likely be initiated unless the animal is available for testing. Since rabies is almost always fatal, it's important that timely treatment is initiated if exposure occurs and you undertake prevention techniques. One of the most important things that you can do is get your animal vaccinated. Additionally, as a person, you can greatly reduce your chances of rabies exposure by making sure that you don't interact with animals that you don't know. If an animal is in distress, please contact an approved wildlife rehabilitator. And always remember, if you have questions or you think you've possibly been exposed, please contact the health department. You can contact the Division of Environmental Health by contacting our phone number, 301-609-6751.
Applying for jobs with Charles County government is now easier and more efficient. Visit www.charlescountymd.gov for more information.